The courtroom was packed long before the hearing began. Reporters lined the back wall, law students filled every available seat, and dozens of military personnel quietly watched from the gallery. It was supposed to be an ordinary contempt hearing involving a young woman accused of refusing to follow courtroom instructions during a federal security dispute. Few people even knew her name. She had entered wearing a plain military field jacket over simple clothes, her dark hair tied neatly back, carrying herself with the calm confidence of someone who had faced far greater pressure than a courtroom. The judge, Elizabeth Warren, had built a reputation for demanding absolute control inside her courtroom. She believed respect had to be earned through obedience, and no one questioned her authority. As the bailiff called the case, the judge glanced at the young woman and frowned. "Remove that military jacket immediately," she ordered sharply. "This courtroom doesn't permit unauthorized uniforms." The woman politely replied, "Your Honor, with respect, this jacket isn't for decoration. I'd prefer to keep it on." The judge's expression hardened. "I wasn't asking." Whispering spread across the courtroom as everyone expected the woman to argue. Instead, she calmly unbuttoned the jacket and slowly removed it. Beneath it was a simple black tactical shirt bearing only one embroidered word over her chest: Raven. No rank, no medals, no decorations, just a single call sign. The judge looked irritated. "I don't care what nickname is stitched on your shirt. Sit down." The woman obeyed without saying another word. Among the spectators sat a gray-haired Navy admiral who had quietly entered only minutes earlier. He had planned to observe another case before returning to Washington. The moment he saw the embroidered word Raven, his expression changed instantly. His eyes widened as if he'd seen a ghost. Slowly, deliberately, he stood to his feet. Every military officer in the room turned toward him. Without hesitation, the admiral raised a perfect salute toward the young woman. Gasps echoed across the courtroom. The judge froze mid-sentence. "Admiral, what are you doing?" she asked. The admiral never lowered his salute. "Your Honor," he said calmly, "you are standing before Commander Evelyn Carter, Callsign Raven, one of the most highly decorated special operations officers our nation has ever produced." Silence swallowed the room. Even the reporters stopped typing. The judge looked confused. "If she's so important, why isn't she wearing decorations?" The admiral answered quietly, "Because the missions she led were never meant to be public." He turned toward the courtroom. 15 years ago, during a classified overseas hostage rescue, communications failed, helicopters crashed, and an entire special operations task force became trapped behind enemy lines. Rescue was impossible. Every intelligence report predicted complete loss of life. He paused before continuing. Commander Carter volunteered to lead a 6-person team into territory everyone else believed was suicide. For 3 days they crossed mountains, rivers, and hostile territory under constant pursuit. Against impossible odds, she evacuated 42 civilians and every surviving service member without losing a single person under her command. The courtroom remained completely silent. The call sign Raven became known throughout special operations because whenever someone heard it over the radio, they knew help had arrived. The judge slowly looked back toward Evelyn, who remained seated quietly without showing the slightest emotion. "If all of this is true," the judge asked carefully, "why are you here?" Evelyn finally spoke. "Because I believe no one should receive special treatment simply because of their service." Her calm voice surprised everyone. "I was subpoenaed as a witness. I intended to testify like anyone else." The admiral nodded respectfully. "That's exactly why so few people know who she is." One federal prosecutor then stood and revealed another stunning fact. The entire legal dispute had begun because Evelyn had refused to reveal classified operational details during a civil lawsuit involving a private security contractor. She had accepted being held in contempt rather than violate the confidentiality that protected fellow service members still working overseas. She chose possible jail over breaking her oath, the prosecutor admitted. The judge requested a brief recess. During that time, military attorneys quietly delivered sealed authorization letters confirming Evelyn's record. Every document carried the highest security classifications. When court resumed, the atmosphere had completely changed. The judge addressed Evelyn with visible respect. "Commander Carter, I owe you an apology." Evelyn gently shook her head. "No apology is necessary, Your Honor. You were simply doing your job." Those words struck the courtroom harder than any dramatic speech could have. The judge smiled sadly. Perhaps, but I judged a person before understanding her character. She officially dismissed the contempt proceedings after confirming that federal law prevented disclosure of the classified information requested. As everyone prepared to leave, something unexpected happened. A young law student approached Evelyn hesitantly. "Ma'am, may I ask one question?" Evelyn smiled warmly. "Of course." The student asked, "How do you stay so calm when people underestimate you?" Evelyn looked around the courtroom before answering. "Because confidence doesn't come from proving people wrong. It comes from knowing who you are even when nobody else does." Those words spread across the room. Reporters immediately wrote them down. Within hours, they appeared in newspapers, television interviews, and social media posts across the country. Weeks later, the courtroom security footage unexpectedly went viral. Not because of arguments or humiliation, but because millions watched the exact moment an admiral stood and saluted a woman who had never once demanded recognition. Veterans praised her humility. Military families thanked her for protecting classified missions. Teachers began showing the story to students as a lesson about respect, service, and never judging people by appearances. Yet despite worldwide attention, Evelyn quietly returned to active duty. She declined every television interview, refused book deals, and ignored requests for celebrity appearances. When asked why, she simply replied, "The people who deserve attention are the teammates who never came home." Months afterward, Judge Warren invited veterans, first responders, and military families to speak at local schools about leadership and integrity. During one ceremony, she publicly admitted that the experience had permanently changed how she viewed every person entering her courtroom. "Titles, uniforms, and appearances never reveal the whole story," she told the audience. "Real honor often arrives quietly." Years later, visitors entering that courthouse noticed a bronze plaque mounted near the courtroom entrance. It displayed a simple message inspired by that unforgettable day. Before judging someone by what they wear, remember that the greatest courage is often hidden beneath the simplest uniform. For those who had witnessed the moment firsthand, one image remained unforgettable. A courtroom frozen in silence, a Navy admiral standing at attention, and a quiet woman known only by one call sign, Raven, who never asked for respect because she had already earned it through a lifetime of sacrifice. And everyone who walked out that day carried the same lesson with them. True heroes don't announce themselves. They reveal their character through humility, honor, and unwavering commitment when no one is watching. As the courtroom slowly emptied, the silence spoke louder than the applause that had filled it moments before. Judge Warren watched Commander Evelyn Carter walk out wearing the same simple jacket she had been ordered to remove, but now every person who saw it understood it represented a lifetime of sacrifice, courage, and honor. No television interview, medal ceremony, or public recognition could ever equal the quiet respect she had earned that day. Outside, the Admiral gave her one final salute before she disappeared into the crowd, returning to a life of service without seeking praise or attention. Long after the headlines faded, people remembered not the courtroom dispute, but the lesson it revealed. Never underestimate someone because of their appearance, for the greatest heroes often carry the heaviest burdens in silence. True strength doesn't demand recognition. It reveals itself through humility, integrity, and the courage to do what is right, even when no one is watching. And from that day forward, anyone who entered that courthouse looked at others a little differently, knowing that behind the simplest uniform, or the quietest smile, could stand a hero whose greatest victories would never be written in history books, but forever live in the lives they saved.